and Tim Vince is the Brexit Party candidate for South Thanet. Pretty much everything you've expressed until recently about the EU is expressed in spiritual terms, along with your views on other political issues like sex education and equal marriage. Let's look at some of your statements about the EU then. There's a video of you speaking to Christian followers at the Revelation International Centre in 2018, where you describe the EU as wicked. And you claim the EU was created in a temple, which isn't true. You talk about treaties and
I said it was signed there. And by the way,
let me finish, Tim. Let me finish. I'm going to finish the question. I am going to finish.
I know you are. I know.
Thank you. So I'm going to keep talking because you need to listen to the questions in a political interview. Thank you. You claim the EU was created in a temple that you equate with Satanism. You bring in allusions to thunderbolts, swastikas and Nazi Germany. Your claims about where these EU treaties were signed is untrue. The Treaty of Rome, you claim, was signed in the Temple of Zeus. It wasn't. It was signed on the Constantine Hill. The Treaty of Lisbon, you claim, was signed in the same temple.
Could you allow me to speak?
Yes,
because you're now telling me what I'm saying, and I'm not allowed to answer it.
What I'd like to know is,
and you know it's a very short programme.
Why do you make...
No, it was actually the Temple of Jupiter.
I haven't asked the question yet,
okay,
so hold on just one more moment. You make all of these claims. I want to know if you're going to bring these claims into the general election debate in South Thanet.
Well, people can ask me, and you're choosing to focus on this, but the EU was signed, the Treaty of Lisbon. The Treaty of
Lisbon was signed in Lisbon, the clue's in the title.
Right. But it was to replace, which is typical EU, they moved the goalposts. So the EU constitution, which was rejected by France and the Netherlands, was signed in the remains of the Temple of Jupiter, which is Roman for Zeus. And I'm just making the point that do we want our future to be determined by Greek and Roman mythology, which led to dictatorship, or do we want to have some recognition, not only in Britain, by the way, but all the other countries of Europe, they have a strong Judeo-Christian heritage, which was written out of the EU constitution.
The preamble to the Constitution talks about religion generally so as to include as many religions as possible and not exclusively your take on Christianity. You also blame the EU for changing the definition of marriage, causing equal marriage to spread across the whole world. You do realise that that was domestic legislation, don't you, not EU legislation? In Britain it was the Marriage Act 2013. OK,
so one of the issues that we're facing in this election is trust. The Conservatives and the Lib Dems went into a coalition. There was no mention whatsoever of the redefining of marriage. And yet, in the election manifestos or in the coalition agreement. So I'm pointing out a consistent theme of actually not telling the electorate what they're doing.
EU.
Yes, because the EU is not democratic and they do not actually...
So you're blaming the EU for domestic legislation?
Look, it was spread around. Well, you need to do more research to look at, yes, to see that they have a secular humanist. By the way, this isn't but it's Sunday, so why not talk about it? They have a secular humanist worldview, and I'm saying that we have.
Who's they?
The EU constitution is secular humanist. It doesn't. They might bear reference to religion myths.
Aside from the EU, you've also talked and written about the politics of sex and relationship education in schools, referring to shameful deeds done in secret, by which I presume you're referring to gay sex. Is it a sin?
Right. I'll tell you straight that. On the front page of the Telegraph, they talk about Jews leaving this country because of Corbyn. Well, it's not just Corbyn. Faith schools are being suppressed on this issue.
Is gay sex a sin?
We've got school gate protests because there's religious illiteracy among the media.
Is gay sex a sin?
I'm telling you straight. OK. Because that's the question you asked Tim Farron, and he was hounded and not able to talk about any other policy. I happen to have a classical...
I think it's something that the people of South Thanet might like to know is when you refer to shameful deeds done in secret, are you referring to gay sex, and is it a sin?
I think that one day everything hidden will be brought to light.